Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10 Hacks to Move from Busy to Productive webinar. My name is Beth McAllister, and I will be your technical producer and moderator this evening. We're glad to have you all online with us. Tonight, our presenter is going to be Amy Riccardi, and this is actually a webinar. Amy has just told me, or a presentation, pardon me, that Amy has told me that she presented at Kappa convention this past June, so it's really exciting to have that opportunity to do it here this evening. Just before we get started, I want to make sure that you're all familiar with the GoToWebinar system. So important things for you to know: if you're having any technical difficulties, you can reach out to me through the questions pane, but this is also the place that you're going to reach out with your questions for Amy. And Amy would really appreciate if you could ask those questions about each hack as we're going along. So if something comes into your mind and you want a question answered about that, please type that into your question pane and we will make sure that we address it right away. Before we get started on any of the other pieces, I would just like to launch a quick poll so we know who our audience is tonight. So if you could quickly just click on the poll there and let us know whether you are a collegian or an alum, please. We're going to give you about 5 more seconds there because there's 90% of you voted. All right, I'm going to close that poll. So Amy, we have 100% alumni joining us this evening.
All right, that's that's excellent. So I will keep this alum focused for now. That'll be good. Great. Are we ready to kind of get rolling?
You are ready to roll. So Amy, take it away.
All right, great. So I'm going to share my screen here really quickly. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Looks perfect.
Okay, great. So I'm really excited to be here tonight. As Beth said, I'm Amy Riccardi. I am actually a Kappa EME trainer. And have had a whole bunch of other roles with the fraternity over the many years. I was a leadership consultant and a PDC for some periods of time. And I am kind of as my full-time gig, I am the founder of a company called Leadership Evolution Group. We recently just rebranded the company from HCM 2020, which is a human capital management consulting practice. So basically we fix people problems in organizations. And I was just explaining to Beth a few minutes ago too that this presentation came about because I've had so many clients really struggling with the whole issue of productivity. So I pulled this together as just a really great series of resources for professionals mostly to kind of get themselves out of this whole rut of being busy and into being productive. So I'm going to just jump right in. And as we mentioned before, please feel free to ask questions as we go along, because I'm going to be kind of hitting a different slide for each one of these tips and hacks, and I would love to just answer the questions right then and there. We will definitely be wrapping up within the hour, so we'll definitely keep the time going, but we'll be moving kind of quickly. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask it when it comes up. So the first big one for me is really, if you really want something to change or be different, then you must be willing to go through the pain of making the change. I think that's a really key piece of this. So I really have learned over the years that being busy for me was really at a point of being painful, because I just wasn't getting things accomplished in a rapid manner or making as much change as I really wanted. And kind of when that pain gets to be more, pretty significant, and you're too busy to do the things you really want to be doing, then people will tend to make changes. So I'm going to share with you today a whole bunch of tips. One of the things I always tell people when I do this presentation, and we had about 70 or so Kappas in the session at convention, this is a lot of information. I would never think of trying to implement all of these hacks all at the same time. Pick the one that resonates the most with you, or pick maybe 2 and work on those first, and then start implementing some of these other ones as you feel comfortable. And remember that, it's not about perfection, it's just about making progress. So as you go through these, just pick 1 or 2 that you really resonate with, and we'll kind of move forward with that. So my first really big question is always, kind of why is being busy a thing these days, and why is productivity such an issue today? I see it all over the place. right? All over the place. You know, and I'm totally guilty of this too, I should add. I have two kids that play two different travel sports. I run actually two different businesses. I've got Kappa volunteering work and a lot of other things that I'm doing right now. So, but being busy right now is a real big thing, and it drives me crazy when people say, "Well, I'm just so busy, I can't do X or I can't do Y." And I think that's a lot about prioritizing what you're really doing and really thinking through what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. So I'm going to show you a couple of things, but the very first hack that I like to share with people is being busy is all about mindset. You have to make really big changes to get really big results. So if you are feeling extremely overwhelmed with lots of life things going on in your world, a really big piece of that is changing your mindset in order to be able to get the results that you really want. And part of the mindset are going to be doing some of these hacks that I'm going to show you here in a second. But this is really critical. If you're not in a place where the busy, and I put that kind of in air quotes, the pain from being busy isn't significant enough, then you're probably not going to be making the changes you want to make. So you've got to really shift your mindset. So hack number two, and this is like, I think one of the most brilliant and simple ones, is filtering your inbound messaging. And what I mean by that is if you're going to become productive, you have to put up some barriers about all of the incoming messages and things that you're receiving on a day-to-day basis. So that means helping to minimize the drama, the news, the chatter, the text messages, the Facebook time, the social media time, the TV binge watching time, whatever it is, you've really got to protect all of that incoming communication and protect yourself from that in order to really be productive. And so, I hear a lot of friends, saying, oh, they're so busy, but then they post up on Facebook that they've just binge watched, the last 3 seasons of their favorite TV show, right? It's like, well, how productive or how busy? I mean, you're busy because you're filling your time with a lot of crazy, but you've got to really protect yourself from inbound messaging and limit when and how you're paying attention to that stuff. So that's kind of hack number 2, which I think is a really important one. Hack number 3 is clearing your inbox. And I didn't know how much this actually was going to play into this, into my time management. This actually has cut out a lot of the junk email that I get. I don't know that, I mean, I don't know, you all know that when you go on these websites to, look at in this case, this is just an email an email newsletter that I get, there are times when you're getting so much junk mail, you're spending 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day in very small, probably quantities, deleting email in your inbox. So unsubscribe to all of that stuff. Unsubscribe to your advertisements. Unsubscribe to the, all the random stuff that you've actually gotten signed up for. And it's really easy to do. If you're not familiar with how to do this, I've kind of shown you an example. What you do is at the bottom of every email, it's actually required for the sender. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see a whole bunch of legal language like this. And it looks different on every email, but you're looking for something that says like manage your subscription or update your email preferences or change your email address or unsubscribe. You're looking for this unsubscribe button. Almost every single kind of junk email has that. And if you will go in and actually click on that unsubscribe, you will wind up hopefully getting out of receiving those. And sometimes when you click that unsubscribe button, it'll actually also click you to another screen that'll ask what you want to unsubscribe to. Just go through and answer that, and it takes no time at all. I will tell you, I did this diligently for 1 solid week for both my work and my personal email addresses. And I probably cut out 70% of my email in about a week by doing this. It's absolutely fantastic. And so I suggest if email is one of your big problems, clearing your inbox by unsubscribing to all the stuff you don't want to get is really key. So this is a really great tip for those of you that are dealing with lots of inbox issues.
Hey, Amy.
Yes.
Anne would like to know, she said, I unsubscribe, but they still keep coming. How do you stop
Mhm.
this?
So what winds up happening in that case is sometimes you're getting put on multiple email campaigns from the same sender. So you'll just keep unsubscribing, because what'll happen is sometimes you've gotten subscribed to, like this is an airline one. I think I'm showing you my American Airlines Advantage. This is some kind of promotion email that I got out of. And the good thing about this is if I want to go back in and look at the American Airlines promos again, I can go in and just resubscribe if I feel like I'm missing something or if I need something. But what happens is I could be on, let's say, in this case, an American Airlines list for upcoming sales from, I live out in Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. I live actually like 5 minutes from Dulles Airport. So let's say I'm on a list for getting, local travel deals and then weekend getaways. And then I'm on another list for, I don't know, whatever. I'm probably on multiple email lists. So you may have to unsubscribe multiple times because you're on different email campaigns from the same organization. So just keep at it because eventually they'll all go away. And again, sometimes what'll happen is when you click this unsubscribe button, it sends you to another page and then you have to uncheck all the boxes for all the different lists that you are on. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. So that's a great question. So I'm going to move on to hack number 4, which talks about bigger picture clarity. So in order to kind of move into a productive mode and get out of busy, you have to kind of take a step back and really start asking the question, where are my biggest priorities and what do I really want to be doing? And I always like to ask this question, if we were sitting down having coffee a year from today, what would have to have happened for you to feel like 2018 was a success for you? What are the big things you'd want to accomplish this year? And really put that down in writing and keep that with you because that's going to really help you prioritize your time and some of the activities I'm going to share with you, the hacks going forward. But where are your priorities? What do you really want to be doing? How do you want to be doing it? Maybe it's that, maybe you've got work, maybe you've got kids, maybe you don't have as much time for yourself anymore. I'll tell you, and this for me was a really big issue, and I kind of share this in my seminars and a lot of my public speaking. After the birth of my daughter, I wound up dealing with postpartum depression and a lot of other kind of really big meaty things, and it really kind of brought my world to a screeching halt, and really was a really rough period of time for about 2 years and kind of recovering from that. And in that whole process, I had to get really clear about what my real priorities were in this world. One of those, and the first one, has to be my own health and my own well-being. I can't be a good parent to my children. I can't be a good, boss, supervisor, partner, whatever, if I'm not in a really good place mentally and health wise. So what are your biggest priorities, and get really, really clear about what that means for you. And don't let a lot of other things encroach on those. That's really, really important. So what needs to happen a year from today so that you feel like 2018 was a success, that you've really got yourself in a productive place and not just being busy all the time? When you can answer this question, I would suggest keep that really close to you because it's really important that you always keep this in on your radar screen. So this is a very fun resource, and by the way, I'm going to have lots of them throughout here. So if you have your phone, feel free to take a picture. We'll probably post that. We're going to be posting the slides, right?
The whole presentation will be available.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you'll have that. And then I also have, and I'll tell you this, I have all of this on a handout, a PDF that I can send you. And at the end of this, I will give you my contact information. And if you want it, you can shoot me a message or text or email or whatever works for you, Facebook, whatever. And I'll be happy to send you the PDF. So if you're like frantically going to start writing, don't worry about it because I've created a cheat sheet for you. I'll show it to you at the end. It has kind of everything in it. So hack number 5 is a morning ritual. So this guy, Hal Elrod, has written this awesome book called The Miracle Morning. And it's a super easy, quick read. You can get the book anywhere, Amazon, you can download the audiobook. He's got lots of different versions of it. So kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul has like 100 different versions. The Miracle Morning has a whole bunch of different versions too. But the principle is fantastic. And basically he has an acronym called SAVERS. And this is a ritual that you do in the morning before you deal with anyone else in your world, but it's really a little bit about you taking, he recommends getting up really early. I don't know. I'm not a rock star early morning person. But what I have found is the mornings when I actually get up a little bit early and I do this, my day is so much more calm. And basically you spend about 10 minutes in each one of these areas. So the first one is silence. Literally, you're awake, and I kind of do this, frankly, I do this in bed after my alarm's gone off and I've hit the snooze 4 or 5 times. And I'm awake, but I'm still in bed. I really just kind of sit in silence and just kind of wake up and I just sit there and I relax. You could do this in meditation if you do that, or prayer, or whatever it is you need to do, but sit in silence for about 10 minutes and just be present with yourself. The second one is around affirmations. And he actually has a whole process that teaches you how to write really great affirmations for yourself. And you literally read through them. It takes less than 10 minutes. It takes a few minutes to read through the affirmations. But that helps to rewire your brain around the goals and big things that you want to accomplish. So it kind of links back to hack number 4. The third thing is visualize. And I do this religiously every single morning and think about in my head how I want my day to play out. Tomorrow morning I have kind of an unscheduled morning where I have 3 things I want to get accomplished. In the afternoon, I have to go to a client site and onboard a new hire. And then tomorrow's Wednesday, so I have my daughter and she has volleyball practice, so I have to go pick her up from school and bring her back out here to do volleyball practice and homework and all that jazz. And I just kind of think about how I want the day to go. I want it to be calm. I want it to be purposeful. I want to keep, being active and moving throughout the day, and I don't want to get bogged down and stuff. Just really think about in your head what that looks like. Visualization is really a very powerful thing. I first learned this in high school. Back in Texas, I went to a swim camp at Texas A&M in the summertime, and they had all of us kind of visualizing races, and I played volleyball in college as well, and so we did a lot of this about visualizing how the game would play out, how we would be feeling during it, all that kind of stuff, and it really does help, again, rewire your brain. So visualize how your day is going to go. The fourth one is exercise. This could be 10 minutes of yoga, go outside for a walk, do your whatever routine it is you have. It's just about getting fresh air and getting your body moving. So whatever you can do to get that done is fantastic. The fifth one is reading. Basically 10 minutes a day reading some kind of anything. Whatever gets you going. Ideally, you want to be reading something that's going to really help improve you as a person, but it could be something just for fun too, depending on what you're looking to do. And so the SAVERS acronym is really, really critical, and it's something that you really want to be doing every single day. And if you spend about 10, basically it's that you have an hour's worth of time to do all these things. And so you may spend 5 minutes in one and 15 minutes in another and 10 in one and 15 in another, however you want to add it up. But do each one of these every single morning, and you'll wind up seeing a really, really big difference in your productivity. Oh yeah, I forgot the last one, scribing. So this is journaling. This is actually the exercise of literally journaling. So I do that religiously, and I have since I was probably in middle school. So journaling or scribing is a big piece of this too. Positive affirmations if you want to, or just how you're feeling, or what some things you're thinking through, whatever it is, put it down on paper and scribe it. So that's SAVERS, that's the acronym. Silence, affirmations, visualize, exercise, reading, and scribing. Great book. Highly recommend it. Any questions on that one?
I don't have any right now.
Okay. Love Hal Elrod. He's so great. So let me just give you hack number 6, which is kind of a dovetail off of 5, which is how to create affirmations, because I think this is something that a lot of people kind of know what they are, but they haven't really sorted it out. And just so you know, if you go back here and you Google Hal Elrod or the Miracle Morning, you go to his website, he actually has PDF examples of his own affirmation, and it looks like this, except it's a lot longer, but this is just a snap of several of his affirmations, but I think he has like twice as many in there. So this is literally on a piece of paper. I actually have mine in a software tool called Evernote. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but Evernote is like the best note-taking software ever, in my opinion, and it is fantastic. And he basically has created, these are some of his affirmations, and I'll just give you a minute to kind of read through them really quickly, but they're really, really great. So TMM is the Miracle Morning. I mean, they're pretty great. So I basically took his whole sheet of affirmations and then basically reworked them. A couple of his I took out and added some new ones of my own over the years. But basically, I have this affirmation sheet, and every morning I just walk through it and I read it to myself. And I'll tell you again, it just keeps your goals top of mind all the time. It really helps you get out of wasting time and gets you really purposeful in what you're doing during the day. So I love this. Love that one. All right, so this one is hack number 7, designing your days. And another really great resource for this I have coming up here in a second. So one of the big things, I don't know about you guys, but one of the big things I used to do is I would have this laundry list, task list of to-dos, and I would never get them all done, ever. I would have 10, 15, 20 things on that to-do list. And I know people that love being able to check things off their to-do list. I get it. But the reality of it is, when it comes to really big stuff, you only need to have 3 a day if you're going to be really, really productive. So you have 3 big things that you want to accomplish during the day, and you want to get those done first. You want to set your day up for success by getting 3 really big things accomplished. And then you'll have time to do a lot of other stuff. It'll help you set aside open time. You're going to want on your calendar to set aside open time to put out fires, take care of clients or customers or family or whatever it is you have going on. But you want to make sure that one of the first things you do in your day after you do your savers, and if you're like me and you shuttle kids off to school in the morning or whatever you do in the morning, that you get on your list 3 things that you want to get accomplished first thing in the morning. This is going to be really important because honestly, it sets your whole day off for success, and it's going to help you get your biggest goals accomplished over time.
Hey, Amy, we have a question that actually came up from hack 6, but I think it actually will tie in for 7.
Okay.
Molly would like to know, why is journaling so important and how does it help you in the long term?
Honestly, I think that it helps to, number one, get your brain, it helps you get clarity around what it is that's going on. I'll be honest with you, I journal all the crazy going on in my world that I really need to be thinking about. My journal is not filled with rah rah yay yay stuff, but some people do, and that's awesome. But that's just not how I journal. My journal is filled. I mean, honestly, if somebody found my journal and actually wrote a book about it, I just would pray that I'm already gone, because honestly, it would be crazy. But it's the place that I feel like I can write and really think through the meaty stuff going on in my world and how I'm actually thinking about things. I don't have to come up with a solution, but some people, it's going out and running, and they can get a lot of mental clarity out of running. I'm not a runner, but for me, journaling is that activity. It's the way I kind of get things out on paper, and I feel like it helps me de-stress a little bit because I've put it out there in the universe, and some of those things I let sit. Sometimes there are weeks when I write on the same exact topic day in and day out because I'm still just trying to think about things. And the whole concept of actually handwriting also is a really interesting and art that we're losing. And there's something to be said about you writing things down on paper and actually physically journaling that helps your brain kind of sort things out much more so than typing things out. So that's why for me journaling is so important. And I think that, you know, and he talks about it in the book too. So I would definitely suggest picking up the Miracle Morning book and reading that section on journaling. But for me, it's an outlet for me to be able to calm down, slow down, relax, and get things out on paper. And I tend to journal in the evening more so than in the morning. That's just how I've always kind of done my day. So I kind of end my day with meditation and journaling, and then in the morning I kind of pick up with the other savers. Hopefully that answers your question on the journaling piece.
And Amy, I have to agree with you. I write down my couple of goals in the morning and then I journal in the evening to kind of decompress how I did and how I'm feeling. So I'm with you 100% on that one.
Yeah, and you know, I'll tell you, I think part of this for me personally is because I run a business, it kind of can get it to be a lonely place. I don't really dish about work stuff with a lot of people. So for me, journaling is a way for me to air that out. I also got divorced many years ago. And so during that period of time, there are like books and books full of stuff I've journaled around that, and just kind of, you know, sorting all that through for myself. So for me, that's just a very integral part of what I do. Um, it's not necessarily for everybody, but I will tell you, if you just start doing it, it'll be real interesting to see kind of how that transpires for you. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. That's the great thing about it. So there are weeks that I have gone where I don't journal, and then I'll pick it up and I'll just journal frantically for long periods of time too. So again, don't beat yourself up over any one of these. If that's not your thing, then move along to one of these other hacks, because there's plenty of other good stuff in here too.
And we
So
have a question coming up for number 7, actually, that just
good.
popped up. Oh, goodness. So Anne would like to know, how do you eliminate the authenticity? Oh, sorry. How do you eliminate the noise? Everything is a crisis and must be handled immediately. For individuals with attention disabilities, how do you handle those distractions?
Yeah, about everything being a crisis and everything being frantic. I think the second bullet here really speaks to that. So you'll also notice that I did not say wake up in the morning, roll over, and turn on your phone, right? Like that did not come up here. That's a huge no-no in this world, and we've all are guilty of it and all do it. I will tell you, as soon as you turn on that phone, as soon as you turn on the computer, if you haven't had a chance to work on your 3 tasks beforehand, you've already set your day up on other people's agendas. And what I mean by that is this: other people's drama, other people's priorities, other people's stuff does not make it yours. And I think we as women in particular have this really bad habit of trying to be people pleasers and trying to, you know, make sure everybody else is happy and satisfied and has their stuff taken care of. And we don't take care of our own needs first, and we really need to flip that around. So I would say if attention deficit disorder or anything like that is in your world, being able to eliminate as many distractions as possible is really important, and getting a hold of your phone and your online stuff is a key component to that. Now, I say this because I actually now control my time. I mean, completely. I don't, even with my clients, my clients don't control my time. I don't make myself 24/7 accessible to my clients. If I'm busy working on tasks for my own business, to grow my own business, that comes first, and I will get back to my clients. And that mindset is something that a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around. So if you work in an organization and you have a boss, and you go into the office in the morning and you're beholden to that person for tasks and assignments, what you've got to do is start setting some expectations around how and when you're going to get your tasks accomplished versus someone else's, you know, being responsive to somebody else. And it's not that you shouldn't be responsive. I'm not saying that at all. It's just we've gotten into this thing about this, you know, especially with technology, we've got to get back to somebody immediately, text them right back, respond right back to an email, etc. And the reality is we really don't. Most of the time, we really don't. We've set up a culture where this of immediacy, but the reality of it is most of the time, and only in certain circumstances would I say, if you're in a healthcare or a safety and security kind of job where, somebody's life is on the line, well then yes, that's a different kind of deal. But most of us aren't, and so we've got to make sure that we start putting boundaries out there with our time and about the distractions that we're dealing with. So the key here for me is setting up my calendar in the morning so that I have chunks of time, and I usually set 50 minutes aside, and I'll normally do 3 of those in the morning, or maybe 2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, where I work on key critical tasks that I need to get accomplished. And then I have extra time in the afternoon and a little bit of time in the late morning that I set aside to put out fires, answer email, and take care of stuff for other people. And then I get right back on my tasks. So apparently Siri is trying to sort out my inquiry right now. Didn't you love that? All right, so that's hack 7. Hack 8, I'm going to move along here. And if that didn't answer your question, please let me know and I'll be happy to go back to that. So hack number 8 is organizing your information. So I always suggest not loading up with too many tools, but a lot of us are familiar with Microsoft Office suite tools, or if you use a Mac, the Mac suite tools to organize your world, with Outlook for email, or I use OneDrive for all my documents. So I keep everything. You can keep photos and documents and everything in OneDrive. You can share it. So for me, from a personal and a work perspective, I use the whole Microsoft suite for all the stuff, although I run it off of Macs mostly, but I use the software for that kind of stuff. Infusionsoft is a business tool that I use, and Kajabi is a learning tool, a platform that I use for work. Evernote is, and like I was saying earlier, I think the saving grace for me. It is a brilliant and free app that goes on your phone, on your tablet, on your desktop, on your laptop. It syncs across all devices pretty much instantly, and you can put anything in Evernote. You can put documents, you can put photos, you can put PDF files, you can type notes. If you have a tablet that you can write on, I have an iPad that you can write on, you can actually handwrite notes in it. And it saves everything, and then it's 100% scannable. So if you happen to be a wine lover like me, I can literally snap a photo of a wine label and save it in Evernote, and I can tag it to wine list. And let's say it's a Chardonnay, and I can't remember the name of it. I can just go into Evernote search, type in Chardonnay, and it will pick up every note in Evernote, every photo, everything that has the word Chardonnay in it. It'll deliver it to me, and it'll show me what's in, show me a list of everything that has Chardonnay in it. Literally, it can read your handwriting. It can read a label or a picture. So if there's text in the picture, it can pick that up too. It's really, really cool. I create what are called notebooks in Evernote. So I have one for each of one of my clients, one for each of my kids, each one of my personal things that I'm working on. And literally, as I go through the day, if I snap a picture of a document, or I snap a photo of a handwritten note that I've done, or it has a screen capture on your web browser. So I use Chrome, but you can use any one of them. You can literally download the Evernote extension, and if you're on a website, you literally just click the little icon and it will snag everything on that page and put it into Evernote for you. And then you can tag it with whatever name, or whatever, put it in whatever notebook you want, and sort it however you want. So literally you can find it later on. It is the most brilliant tool, and I highly recommend taking some time to get in there, download it for free, use it. You do not ever have to pay. I've used it for probably 7 or 8 years now. You do not need to pay for the extra storage. because I'm pretty sure I've maxed that thing out, and I still have never had to pay for storage in there. So don't get suckered into buying the extra storage that comes with it, but it's a great way to store your information and organize your information. So, um, any questions on that?
We do.
Yeah.
Anne wants to know, is Evernote similar to OneNote, and what is the advantage to Evernote?
Yeah, it's similar. And I think OneNote has kind of picked up its functionality a little bit in the last couple of years. Honestly, when OneNote first came out, it didn't have, you couldn't add photos and you couldn't do a lot of the things you could with Evernote. I think it's now changed. So if you're a OneNote user and that works for you, then I would say awesome. Evernote for me literally gives me, oh, and you also at this point in time now too can share Evernote um, notebooks with other people, and you can actually create chats around that, so you can use it for work groups or family or anything. So and again, I used OneNote back in grad school a long time ago, when it first came out, because Evernote wasn't around. But when Evernote came out, I switched over because it had so much more functionality to it. So if OneNote is your thing, then go for it. But I love Evernote. For me, it's been a real saver. Was that the only
Okay.
question on that one?
We're all caught up.
Okay, cool. All right. So hack number 9 is clear your clutter. I just did this morning when I got back here to my office, my home office, because I've just got too many piles going on. So I'm constantly in this battle of clearing my clutter. But honestly, hack number 9, clear your clutter, is really, really important, because as you clear out your space, it helps to create more clarity, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. So clearing out your clutter is really, really key in the whole concept of being productive, because you need a clean space to be able to work from, to literally foster creativity. Again, I don't know how you guys operate. I am a pile creator. I know what's in every single pile in my office, but I have a few of them. And when they get to be too much, I feel like I just can't get anything accomplished. So I literally spent about half an hour and a big trash bag today and literally just got rid of all the clutter and junk and the piles and the paper I thought I was saving for some purpose. And I wound up taking pictures of the key documents that I needed to keep, and I put it in Evernote. So helped me get rid of a lot of paper, like receipts and medical statements of all kinds and sorts and whatever else. I just literally can snap a photo of it, put it in Evernote, and then I can throw away the paper. So clearing your clutter and coming up with ways to do that periodically is really important. And if you're just a naturally neat person, I love you to pieces. I wish I could be. That is not how I operate, unfortunately, but clearing your clutter is a really key part of it. Um, while, oh yeah, that's 9. Let me move on to 10. Take clarity breaks. Let me explain to you what this looks like. When things start getting overwhelming and there's just way too much on your plate, I don't know if any of you guys have ever felt this way, but I do this quite a bit lately in particular, because I have been getting busy and less productive. Number 1 is recognizing when you're getting to that point of just being busy and not productive, and stopping. Remove yourself to a calm, relaxing place. I have a place down by the Potomac River where there are picnic benches, and I like to go there. Sometimes I'll do it for an hour or two. Sometimes I'll do it for half a day, whatever I need to do. I unplug from email. I unplug from my cell phone. I put everything on Do Not Disturb. I set aside an appropriate amount of time. I take paper and pencil with me, a notebook, and I find a spot that inspires me, which is that spot. And I literally will brain dump everything out on paper. Stuff that I need to get done, stuff that I want to take care of, stuff that's creating some issues that I need to think about, to-do lists, tasks, people I need to get back to, emails I need to send, projects I haven't finished, whatever it is, brain dump it out on your paper. Get it all out there. And then once you finish that brain dump, and you kind of know when you get to that point when you start slowing down, then start prioritizing the things on that list. What are the things that are really, really important? And what are the things that are just kind of noise? What are things that you can delegate or have somebody else take care of? What are things that are just really aren't as important as you thought they were? get your priority list going, and then once you've taken that clarity break and you've gotten clear on what the priority list really is, then you kind of get back into your game, get those things scheduled that you need to schedule, block out time on your calendar for those priorities, and honor your calendar. Clarity breaks are one of the most brilliant tools I was taught a couple years back, and they really, really do work. So this is a planned activity, and I'll tell you, I'm actually going to schedule one for Sunday afternoon for myself, and it's going to really, I think, help me start October off, with a real bang, because I've got a lot of things going on right now, and I feel like I've been busy but not productive in the last week, and so I just know I need to stop and take a clarity break and get myself squared away. Some people can do this in like an hour at a Starbucks, or maybe your thing is at a late night, at home at late night kind of a thing. Whatever that is for you, honor it, recognize it, create the time, set a clarity break, unplug, do not be in a place where you can be disturbed, because that'll impact your brain dump and whether or not you can get everything out on paper or not. So it's kind of key to make sure you're in a place by yourself where you can do this, and then prioritize your list.
So we have a comment that says, it sounds easy, but maybe it sounds not so easy to do.
It's a discipline. So yeah, the first time you do it, you're kind of like, okay, this is crazy. But then once you start doing it and you finish it up, you're like, wow, that was the best hour and a half or 30 minutes or 5 hours or whatever time it takes you to do. I mean, honestly, I do these purposefully every quarter for like half a day to do planning, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But then I do this whenever I realize I'm getting less and less and less productive and just busy. So you have to be a little bit mindful of where you're at in your world, and then take the time and be disciplined enough to set the time aside for yourself and actually crank this out. And it doesn't have to be a big deal, but it can be a big deal too. I mean, you can make it as big or as little or whatever as you want to, but I'm telling you, clarity breaks are a great tool. The key here is to literally do all 6 of these things kind of in this order: unplugging from your email and your cell phone, setting aside an appropriate amount of time, taking paper and pen and pencil with you, finding a spot that inspires you, brain dumping everything on paper, and then prioritizing it. Super great tool. All right, so any questions? I'm going to take a break here, but I have 3 bonus ones for you too. So I'll actually give you 13. Any questions on these?
Don't have anything coming in right now.
Okay.
Ladies, if you've got some questions, go ahead and send those in while we get our bonus hacks tonight.
Bonus hacks. Yeah, these are always fun. Okay. So I really don't know. This tool for this one for me has been another really great one. So I create a weekly meeting with myself. I normally do it on Sunday nights, which is really just all about kind of planning my week. So I do it at the same time, same day, same agenda, kind of every week. I work on the same exact things on Sunday nights. I review my previous week's accomplishments. I set my coming week priorities. And I schedule my free time first. This is a key one because most people don't do that. I'll come back to that in one second. And then schedule your productivity blocks, which are usually like 60 to 90 minutes of uninterrupted time. I actually have a tool where it actually does it in 50-minute blocks, and sometimes I have to do 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then another 50 minutes. But here's the key to this. Whatever the time frame is that works best for you to sit down and work on something and be able to stay focused is the time you need to do. I would suggest starting with a 50-minute block. Take a 10-minute break, literally physically get up after 50, you set your alarm on your phone. That's one thing I do all the time. I set my alarm for 50 minutes. I will literally get up for 10 minutes. I'll go to the bathroom, I'll grab some coffee, I'll grab some water, I'll stretch a little bit, whatever. But that physical getting up from your seat and moving around for a few minutes and then coming back helps your body, helps the blood circulation, and helps you physically kind of get back in the mode of taking the break and then coming back and then refocusing again on whatever you need to do. So I will schedule on my calendar usually 3 50-minute blocks. Sometimes I do even 90 minutes, but I'll then get up after like 45 and do 2 45-minute sessions, or whatever it is I need to do. But I will actually schedule that time. And those are not tasks that I'm doing for myself for client projects, but those are things I need to get done in order to move myself forward to work on my big goals. So I schedule those throughout the day, and then I schedule chunks of time for actually, frankly, the first thing I do is I schedule all my free time first. So my free time includes the time that I'm doing stuff for myself and the time I'm doing stuff with my kids and my family. That goes on my calendar first. Then my work productivity blocks go in my calendar. And then I leave a lot of chunks of time available to work with my team. So, you know, and that for me is usually in the afternoon, because the afternoon is usually my less productive time. So not that I'm giving them my less productive time, but it's a different kind of energy I have in the afternoon versus the morning. The morning I can really crank out a lot of really high quality stuff. So that's when I work on my projects for my business, and my afternoon is when I schedule stuff with my team. Doesn't work that way every single day, but that's generally how I try to set up my day. Now, if you're a night owl, then maybe the morning isn't your most productive time. So maybe the morning for you is all about, you know, get up, do your savers stuff, and then doing stuff for other people in the morning and getting other people's stuff done. And then maybe your afternoon, evening is when you get your most productive blocks of stuff done. I don't know. You have to kind of play with your own schedule. You know yourself best, but these are generally the buckets of things that you want to have in your schedule on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis to help you become more productive. And a lot of times here, by the way, the schedule your free time first actually happens last for most people. And I would suggest your free time really should come first. The time you're spending that's not work related really needs to be the stuff you're scheduling first and foremost. And again, leave some open time for firefighting, because that's really another really important piece of this too. I think one of the problems with people getting overwhelmed is they're trying to get too much crammed into a day, and then all these disruptions happen. Colleagues, whatever, contact you, they need something from you, and all of a sudden then you get derailed on other people's agendas and on other people's tasks and assignments, and then by the time you ever get back to really taking care of your own stuff, there's no time left in the day to do it. So we really have to kind of take control of your time and kind of flip it all on its head. So quarterly meetings. So you've done weekly, daily, weekly. So kind of this quarterly review and plan meeting for me is also another key piece. So I put it on I schedule this at the beginning of the year, and I protect this time, meaning I don't let other things creep into this time. My quarterly planning happens at usually the last week of the quarter. So at the end of March, I'll be planning for April, May, and June. At the end of June, I'll be planning for July, August, September, et cetera, et cetera. So I plan usually a half day or a full day, depending on what I have going on in the upcoming quarter and what things I'm working on. I put it on my calendar as my quarterly review day, and I don't let anything creep into that planning. So I just work everything else around it. And that's a really important part. Again, I recommend the last week of the quarter, but I actually do this with some of my clients as well. Some of my clients actually like to do it the first week of the quarter because they have the previous quarter's information to go off of. So if that feels better to you, then do it that way. Either one's good. You want to align these quarterly things to your annual goals. So remember back in, I think it was step 3 or 4, we talked about kind of looking back on the year, what need to have happened for you to feel like things have been successful for you. You've got those big goals in mind. You basically want to take those goals and divide them into 4s and work on a piece of it each quarter. And this is the meeting and the time when you actually spend time working on those bigger goals and making the plan to how you're going to accomplish those. And again, you're going to want to review the previous quarter's activities and financials, and then create your upcoming quarterly goals from that. So hopefully that makes sense. And obviously in the quarter, then you're going to be looking at scheduling major items, major project deliverables, and then kind of working your calendar back and planning time for that stuff too, which would be done probably in those 50-minute segments, which is how I do them. All right, here we go. Biggest one of all, bonus number 3, which is turning off your phone. I can't possibly tell you the importance of doing this on a regular basis and literally detaching from your phone. I spend a week about every 5 days, at least 2 or 3 times a year at a retreat that has no internet, no cell phone service, no nothing. And it's literally 5 days of being outdoors and just really taking care of myself. Those 5 days, every time I do them, I fuss about it when I'm going there. I can't believe I'm doing this again. I'm going to be totally detached for 5 days. I can't believe I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? This is silly. I have all these things to do. And then when I leave there, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best 5 days I've ever spent. Like, it's so great just to be totally detached. Whether or not you do it for half an hour, you do it for 5 days, whatever your thing is, we have got to get as a culture into a much better habit of just turning off our cell phones and not being so instantly connected. For our own mental health, for our own well-being, for our own interpersonal relationships, it's just from a cultural perspective, we just got to get into this habit of turning off your phone. If you want to be really, really productive, the best thing you can do is hit airplane mode, silence your phone, and not turn it on until you get things accomplished. Don't be afraid of airplane mode on your phone or just straight up turning it off. It's really going to help you get so much more accomplished. And I know people have real anxiety about this one, especially I find that a lot of our collegians, the thought of doing this is just crazy. But I'm telling you, if getting to productive is really something you want to be able to do, this is a key to being able to do that. How does everybody feel about that one? Because I am curious about.
So we have a comment come in and says, thank you. I just got my first phone this year when I became unemployed. I hate it. It's such a big time waster.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I'll tell you, I get sucked into it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is an easy one at all. I get it. I get to a point where when right now I'm there, I'm at the point where I've transitioned from being productive to busy again, because I kind of ebb and flow between these things. I'm not in any way, shape, or form perfect at doing this. I don't think anybody is, but I've recognized it. And so I'm at a point now where I'm shutting my phone off and letting things roll to voicemail. And I'm just putting my head down and getting things accomplished. And it's so much easier. So yeah, having that phone is killer. All right, so any questions about any of this?
I don't have any at the moment. Ladies, if you have any last questions, please feel free to type those into your questions pane so we can use Amy's productive time here wisely and get some great advice.
So here's what I'm going to do. So if you want to snap a photo of this or whatever, grab a screenshot, whatever you want to do. This is my contact information. That's actually my cell phone number. You're welcome to text me, but just if you do, please tell me who you are and how we met, because I've had sometimes I get random text messages. I'm like, who is this and how do I know you? And it was really funny because at convention, a lot of the undergrads, I was telling them that. I said, look, you're welcome. This is my cell phone number. You're welcome to use it. And I had some actually that did, which is really great. But I'm like, just please tell me who you are and that you met me at convention. I'll be fine with it. So lots of different ways to connect with me. So feel free to do that, whatever works for you. I was going to show you my, let me do this really quickly, get into here. This is the Word document, the PDF that I have created for this. So just so you know what you're going to get. So if you want to just shoot me a message. I'll go back to that screen in a second. But this, it's literally, it's all of the, again, it's like the cliff notes for those of you who know what those are. Cliff notes of the of this conversation. It doesn't have, oh, it doesn't have the bonus. I'll have to fix that. I think for convention, I was trying to make this just one pager front and back. I will actually put the three bonuses on here too, and then I'll re-PDF this for you. So I have that all in here. So if you didn't take lots of notes, at least you'll have this, and that'll be hopefully helpful. And I'll also, yeah, put it down here too. So how Elrod's morning miracle is down here. Great. So any last minute questions?
I don't have any last minute questions coming in.
Well, I really appreciate your guys' time tonight. I know that for me, it's almost 10 o'clock at night, so on the East Coast here, so it gets kind of late, but I appreciate you guys coming on. And again, this will be recorded and put up in the EME portal, so that'll be good. And then, oh, and I will do one little Kappa plug here, because I really should. This presentation around productivity is a presentation that we can do as Kappa trainers, the EME trainers, for alum groups and our undergraduate chapters. So if this is something you think would be useful, you can put in a request with the foundation and the trainer team, and I can come out and do this, or somebody can come out and do this presentation for you. And when I do the face-to-face ones, I have a lot more resources and a lot more things available. So message me if you need to, if you're curious about that, and I'll connect you with the people at headquarters that you can talk to about getting that scheduled. That's a great benefit. The foundation funds those trips. So, and there is some cost to the association or the chapter, but it's a pretty great resource. So I just want to put that out there for what it's worth. Thank you guys for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you all so much, and thank you, Amy, so much for this amazing presentation. I feel pretty good as a journaler. I've started on a few steps, but Amy's giving me so many great tips for me to take forward to make my busy life a little more productive. So thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it. And thank you, ladies, for your participation today. Again, if you have any further questions or comments about today's topic, please feel free to reach out to Amy via the details she gave you, or if you have specific questions around the whole process, you can give us an email at education@kkg.org. So as I close the webinar this evening, a survey is going to open on your screen, and you'll be prompted to respond to a few evaluation questions. If you could please take a moment to share your thoughts on today's webinar, it would really help us shape future webinars in this amazing lifestyle series that we host. So please have an amazing evening, ladies, and I will hope to see you again soon on another webinar.